So here's the deal. I've always hated the Miraculous Ladybug Christmas special. Well, perhaps not hated, but I've certainly always thought it was truly a terrible addition to the Miraculous show. To me, I was never really certain as to why it was made at all. In my memory, the plot was middling and kind of stupid, but worst of all was the music. In theory, the idea of the characters singing songs is not something I'm against as a blanket ban. I watched the film that came out back in 2023 and it was good. I wouldn't say all of that had to do with the singing and the music, but it certainly wasn't bad. This one though, whew! Not only was the content of the songs, the lyrics, truly woeful, the singing by the voice actors, at least in the English dub, was interesting at best and unlistenable at worst. Probably why, when they had a bigger budget with the film, they used different voices for the songs, even if it clearly wasn't the same person. It was the right call in the end. That much is obvious when you compare the pair. Based on everything I've said in the past, you could be forgiven for thinking I absolutely loathe the special and everything to do with it. It is a shame because I do rather like Season 1 and 2, which forms that early golden era for the show in terms of overall episode quality, but it is what it is. Or so I thought. Because just the other day I was watching some TV, which has become increasingly rare for me to be honest, when suddenly the Miraculous Christmas special came on. Sometimes in life you just want to cringe, you know what I mean? And so I figured I'd watch it, only for something rather strange to start to happen. I enjoyed myself. So this got me thinking, was I wrong about this the whole time? Was I not being fair? Did I let what other people said cloud my judgment? Before we go any further than that, I'm not going to say that this is in any way a cinematic masterpiece, or that it's a genuinely good piece of miraculous media. I'm simply saying that warts and all, it's an enjoyable watch even if you're laughing at it and not with it. So today I figured I could rewatch it again, and see if I like this thing for real, or if my enjoyment was a one-off aberration. Let's begin. For starters, damn, 21 minutes for this special. Give me a break with that short-ass runtime. I get that it was early days and they couldn't justify the big 40-minute specials that eventually used for Miraculous World, but at the same time, don't make this then if you can't do it right. Was anybody ever clamoring for a Miraculous Christmas episode? Ugh, probably Zag. We begin the episode in Marinette's family bakery with a very hilarious song, wherein Marinette gives Christmas treats to all her friends and acquaintances before being forced by her parents to play nice with Chloe and do the same for her. That's all well and good for an opening, in a normal Miraculous episode that accomplished this via montage and would be over super quickly. Here though, they wanted to start off the episode with a bang. In the first sequence we're greeted with a lyrical Merry Christmas to all by what sounded like the entire voice cast. A very out of tune Merry Christmas to all at that. Whew. Despite that musical intro, no matter what, I always forget that this scene in the bakery is also a song. Not a particularly good song either, but it does have me laughing at how weird and out of place it feels. So we've started strong. I already have a smile on my face. Also in this episode, it's so clear that the mouths are out of sync with what they're saying, and it gets worse and worse throughout the songs. It just adds a whole new layer of wackiness to everything going on screen. At the end of the song, Gorilla walks in to pick up some goodies for Adrien, only for Marinette to run upstairs to get a gift she got specifically for Adrien for Christmas. Of course, she can't find it anywhere, only for Tiki to point out that it's just sitting right there, on the desk. Right there in plain sight. Man, I really wish that this was not as relatable to me as it is. I feel both seen and attacked by this sequence. Marinette runs outside and awkwardly hands it over and stammers out her desire for Adrien to have a Merry Christmas. Gorilla drives off and Marinette sees Adrien's face in the sky. This is probably where, if I was in charge, I would have put the first song. Not in the bakery, but here. It's only 2 minutes in, so it's a good spot for one, and it'd be a good topic. A yearning love ballad. Oh well, they made the choice to have the bakery song, and it certainly was a choice. No time to dwell on that now though, for up next we head over to Adrien to see what he's up to for Christmas. It's supposed to be his first Christmas without his mum, which is a big deal, but once again it seems like he's just hanging out with Natalie as the two of them set up the Christmas tree. Setting up the Christmas tree on Christmas Eve is certainly cutting things close, isn't it? I guess Gabe didn't want things festive until he had no excuses to put it off. Adrien is of course quite angry that his dad's leaving him alone on Christmas Eve, and he storms off once he gets the gift from Gorilla. Whilst Natalie goes off to Gabe to try to convince him that Adrien needs him right now. Surprisingly, she actually succeeds here. Also, whilst sitting here watching this Christmas special again, I've come to the conclusion that this special would have been far better if one, they had more time, but also if they just blatantly ripped off other Christmas media. Gabe feels tailor-made to be a Scrooge-type character in a Miraculous Christmas Carol. Not just because of his surly disposition, but because of the potential for Christmases past, present, and future. Oh well, this is good enough. In his room, Adrien's angsty, and so he transforms into Catmire and jumps out the window, before bursting into an equally angsty song as he ruminates on how his Christmas sucks and everybody else is having a nice time with their families. Now, I think we all know that this song is infamously bad. The singing is poor and the lyrics are lame, plus it seems to shift genre right there at the end. But I don't care about any of that. I know in my heart of heart that it sucks. And yet, it's also just so good. I don't care what anybody has to say about that, to tell you the truth. When I rewatched this episode just now, I kept going back to listen to this song again and again and again. And specifically, his tragic ballad right there at the end. It's so goofy. I love it. By the end, it makes me want to belt it out with him. The crux of this scene is that Catmire is going to destroy the big Christmas tree, only to realise that he doesn't have it in him to do something so awful, so he destroys a pillar with an ad for his perfume label instead. When he de-transforms, it turns out Plagg needs something to eat and is completely wiped out. I will admit, this is dodgy writing. There was no hint of this earlier on in the episode, and it comes out of nowhere. They should have had a conversation or something earlier before Adrien transformed, and have him cut off Plagg before he can warn him or something like that. Speaking of out-of-nowhere plot twists though, this sequence very quickly devolves into extreme hilarity as now Plagg starts to sing about how he's out of energy. This song is so bad. It's not even good. It's simply bad, but it's funny as hell to the point that I'm glad it made the cut. Adrien makes him a makeshift bed out of the Santa hat that Marinette made and gifted to him, and off they go into the night. Meanwhile, Gabe's off to deliver Adrien a gift. At midnight. Man, this guy really did leave everything to the last second, didn't he? In the scene with Adrien and Plagg, they literally have the big clock strike midnight and Adrien announces that it's officially Christmas. So what's Gabe thinking here? Also, my god, I'd forgotten how blonde Gabe used to be in the early days. He feels especially blonde here when he's screaming out the window for his son. Gabe, of course, as we saw, does not react well to his son being gone, and so he sends out Gorilla to search for him, whilst Natalie's given the task of calling everybody else up to see if Adrien's with them or telling them where he might be. Surprisingly, everybody's still awake. Am I missing something here? Is it not midnight? Was Adrien just wrong earlier? Did I misinterpret things? Regardless, word soon spreads around that Adrien's been kidnapped, and so everybody goes out into the snow in search of him. At the same time, Marinette slips away to become Ladybug to go out in search of him herself. Meanwhile, Adrien in his wanderings has come across the actual, real-life Santa. Why is Santa randomly parked in the middle of Paris? No idea. I don't think they ever really go into it. But who cares? What I do want to say is that the idea of children bullying a random old man who gave them gifts and then pelting them with snowballs is absolutely wild to me. This has always been a problem in the writing of the show. There's no nuance. Either you're an angel or the devil, and there is no in between. Who the hell is going to pull Santa's beard? Adrien tells them off, and then he and Santa bond. This scene is legitimately cute. Adrien has very few grown men he can talk to about things. His dad sucks, his uncle sucked and is also dead, and we've never seen his grandparents. Gorilla, at the same time, seems to be mute. Here, though, we see a man engage with him and comfort him, give him some fatherly or grandfatherly guidance. You love to see it. From wholesome to hilarity, we cut to Ladybug as she stumbles across her gift card to Adrien and the damage from the cataclysm. So she sings about how Adrien must be in trouble and Catmire's protecting him and that she's secretly in love with Adrien. Not gonna lie, but this song goes hard. Yes, the lyrics are kind of stupid and the whole thing is needlessly dramatic. Plus, the song shatters the illusion of Marinette being a teenager. I mean, Adrien singing still felt like an angsty teen. Marinette sings here and it very much becomes a grown-ass woman singing. On top of that, she does some wacky dance moves and choreography. This song actually kind of convinces me it was intentionally supposed to be so bad it's good. It feels like top-tier trolling from the creative team. Regardless though, I unironically like the song, and I think it's actually sung very well. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was on my frequent listens playlist back in the day. Maybe it needs to make a return. Santa and Adrien continue to bond on their sleigh ride, with Adrien asking Santa to briefly come into his house to celebrate Christmas. Santa agrees, only for Gabe to pull a Gabe and act massively rude and standoffish when he brings his son back home safely. Wow. Nice, Gabe, just act like a massive turd to your son's savior. Such a great idea. Not only that, but it seems like he was going to send Gorilla out to beat this man up. Yikes. Ladybug comes in out of nowhere and completely misinterprets all the evidence, threatening Santa and chasing him down against Adrien's wishes, ripping him from his sleigh and dumping him head first on the ground. Is this the real Santa, by the way? If so, why didn't he fly away? No matter, he gets akumatized into, evil Santa Claus, who delivers bad gifts and smells bad. He also sings a fun song that gets progressively more and more tired as he keeps whipping it out in 3 consecutive scenes. Probably only needed the first one if we're being honest. Despite having a deal with Hawkmoth to get the Miraculouses, Santa decides to not fight Ladybug when she's alone in the snow, and simply drops a present filled with bats on her and flies away off to Adrien, which conveniently alerts him to the danger and brings Catmire into the battle to even the score. Bit of a railroaded plot there. Also, what happens to Gorilla here is legitimately a nightmare of mine. Just covered in spiders. No thanks. Santa then specifically goes after Chloe to drop cockroaches on her. They haven't interacted at all this episode, and he does this. I guess she was on top of the Paris naughty list. We then finally come to the battle scene. It's about 2 minutes of sleigh chase. It has really good banter and is relatively exciting. They resist the temptation for an additional song, and in the end I really enjoyed this part, even if Catmire gets punked out by Santa at every turn. They both end up getting tossed off the sleigh, and Santa doesn't chase them. Man, if I was Gabe, I'd be pretty pissed at this point. Dude is legit just doing what he wants with no regard for what Gabe gave him the powers for. Ladybug, of course, comes up with a plan, and it's off to the Eiffel Tower to spring the trap, which involves Catmire serenading him with auto-tune, and giving him a present, which is Ladybug, who can sneak attack him. It works, of course, because Santa is an idiot, but then again, I've seen much more ridiculous villain defeats, and I still liked the episode a lot. This ending was very reasonable, and it didn't require egregious plot armor for it to work. It just needs him to be kind of stupid, and considering he was walking his flying reindeer through the streets of Paris, well, maybe Santa is that dumb. We then finish off with an actual wholesome Gabe and Adrien moment, where Gabe lets everybody stay over for Christmas dinner. It's like 2 a.m. or something at this point, surely. Couldn't be me. I'd be in bed, I'd have missed the whole thing. Also, they randomly sing at the end, including Gabe. Just made me laugh. In the end, the special, it's clearly not the best one they've ever made. And whilst it's probably one of the lesser episodes of either season 1 or 2, depending on what season you lump it in with, I also think it's a really fun watch. It's very unique, and it's definitely a product of its time. It's hilarious, even if it's not always intentional. It was wholesome, and on top of that, it had some really good action sequences. What's not to love? I'll admit, I was being a bit of a Scrooge when I used to hate on it. This was fun. And so with all that being said, these have just been my opinions, and I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of the Miraculous Christmas special? Do you like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.